So thank you everybody for joining. In today's session, I'm going to take you through as prospective international students who want to study in Canada and US, the processes you need to understand. And I always talk about that fact. You really need to understand that process before you even start it. So in today's session, I want to take you through the steps, the universities, all the things you need to know in applying to universities in US or in Canada, and the mistakes you would need to avoid as you go through the process. And I see this time to be a very good timing because a lot of universities are going to open their application portal for fall 2026 in September, which is next month. And so getting the opportunity to organize this training is going to be helpful to you guys as you go through the process of selecting universities that you want to apply to, and the things you need to also consider, especially when it comes to admission requirements, application fees, admission deposit, depending on the university you're applying to. So I have a small PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen quickly, but it's a small PowerPoint basically to go through the things that I want to talk about and to also go through the steps efficiently. So you see pathway to studying in Canada and US, training for prospective international students are the first thing I'm trying to show. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. Right. So today's session is just a training to help people understand the study abroad process to Canada and to US. So I'll take a time to introduce myself, talk about some of the application processes I've gone through, just a minute to, let's say, 2 to 3, and then I'll go through all the slides. I will do a walkthrough, I would say demo, so a walkthrough to some of the university's website, but I don't know whether Google Meet is going to give me problems in terms of sharing my screens on Google and other stuff. But my name is Emmanuel Ejay. I completed the University of Cape Coast with bachelor's in commerce, concentrating in accounting, and completed in 2020. So started my national service in 2020, and I left Ghana for my master's in financial economics at Ohio University in 2021 July. So I came to the US in 2021 July. So my first admission to the US in terms of a study abroad journey and what I actually utilize is Ohio University, Masters in Financial Economics. That program is not being administered by the university again because all the professors in the program actually left when we completed, and it was a 1-year program. Apart from my admission to Ohio University, I think when I got to Ohio, we were given scholarship for the fall semester and the spring semester, and our program runs through to summer semester, which was the last semester to complete the program. However, we were told by the program director that we were not going to get a scholarship for the summer, and so we needed to think around quickly, ask some of the people who did the program and how much they paid in the summer. So I decided to apply to other universities. So I considered the University of Kentucky for Masters in Public Administration, and I applied to that program. I got a fully funded scholarship to the MPA at the University of Kentucky. But at the point, I just took it back again. I was like, okay, do I just need to move from Ohio University quickly when I got here after my first semester? So I relaxed. I went through a lot of decision-making processes and decided that, okay, fine, I'm not going to the University of Kentucky for Masters in Public Administration. I'll stay back at Ohio and see whatever happens for the summer because my scholarship covered fall and spring, and I was just wondering about how I'm going to cover the summer semester. Apart from University of Kentucky, I have gotten admission to PhD in economics at the University of Ottawa. That was in 2023. I deferred to 2024. I still didn't attend. I got scholarship and admission to Case Western University for MBA. I think it was last year. I deferred to 2024 again. Oh, yeah, 2025. So I got it in 2023, deferred to 2024. I still didn't attend, and I applied again for 2025 for. I still didn't. Got admission to MBA, Washington University, located in St. Louis, with 80,000 scholarship. Still didn't attend that. I got MBA to Emory University, located in Atlanta, Georgia. I still didn't attend that. The reason why I'm talking about all these scholarships is I'm just trying to let you understand, like, some of the offers I have gotten in the process, and it's basically for US schools and Canada schools. So just a little background about me and some of the offers I have gotten, and most of them were fully funded scholarship. The scholarship that brought me to the United States to Ohio University wasn't a fully funded scholarship. I'll put in total 95% of tuition to Ohio University. So all other living expenses were catered for by myself, but we'll get there. The next slide, agenda, I've talked about myself, which is the introduction, understanding the application processes to Canada and the US, understanding admission requirements, very much important. People are most interested in scholarships, but admission requirement is very important when you are going through this whole study abroad journey. And then the most important aspect that people are highly interested is funding and scholarship. And I will come back to visa and immigration procedures once you have gotten your admission with scholarship to the university you're applying to. Common mistakes you need to avoid, and that cuts through from the beginning of the process to the end. So we'll cover that as we go through the process, and then I'll leave some time at the end for Q&A so that you will get the chance to ask all the questions you have for me in this session. Right, application process. Let me consider Canada. I'll run through this slide quickly and then we'll come to demo so that we'll be able to kind of see some practical examples of what we are talking about. In terms of application process for Canada, and then I'll talk about Canada first because you don't need to attend a visa interview when you get admission to a Canadian university. All you need is to submit your documentations for a study permit. And once the study permit is approved, you submit your passport for your student visa. And that's why I'm considering Canada first, because there's no like interview there. There's no schemes of like you going to an embassy, you not getting a date and all those things. Now, how do you apply to Canadian universities? You can apply to Canadian universities directly to the universities, or you can apply through something called provincial application system. And every province in Canada is having that. So currently, I think Canada is having 13 provinces. I may be wrong. It's just like states or regions in Ghana, right? So I don't know how many regions are in Ghana now, maybe 16. But Canada is having 13 provinces, right? I think that is 10 provinces and 3 territories. So 10 provinces together with 3 territories, making it 13. Now, every province may have its own application system. So when you go to the province of Ontario, you are going to have Ontario provincial application system that you can apply for universities in Ontario as a region, let's put it that way, or as a state. Or you can just go to a university website directly, type the university name, and you are able to apply to that university. Very simple. Now, for US universities, you can apply through something called Common App. Common App is basically for bachelor students or people who are applying for bachelor's programs. Common App. And then Coalition App basically works like Common App. It's the same process like Common App. You can apply to a lot of universities using that app as well. It's the same as like, it looks like Common App, but different from Common App. And then lastly, for grad school, right? Not necessarily bachelor's, all of it, you can apply directly to the university. You can apply directly to the schools. So it's either you use the Common App application system or you use the Coalition application system, or you apply directly to the university. Any of them, it works. You need to know deadlines. How many deadlines do we have? There's something called early decision, early action, regular decision. Very important. People don't take note of it. So if you go to a university website, there are various deadlines at a particular university website for a specific program. So if I go to, let's say, University of Virginia, MBA, and I want to apply to University of Virginia for an MBA program, there could be an early decision and early action deadline. What does that mean? When we say early action decision or early decision deadline, when you apply within that deadline window, your application is considered as first come, first serve for admission purposes and scholarship purposes. In all the deadlines, we are going to consider your application as high priority application in early decision or it's the same thing, or early action. So if you go to one university website, you may see early decision. If you go to another university website, you may see early action. They are the same. But your application is considered a priority in the whole application process. And that is why a lot of people may apply for early action or early decision. Some people may not be aware of it at all, so they don't actually apply early to these universities. But what we are trying to say is that if you apply for early decision or early action, your application is considered a priority in the application process. Next, you need to prepare your necessary documents. What are the documents needed to apply to universities in US? For this, we need to look at the level you are applying for. If you're applying for bachelor's, your application documents are going to be different from somebody applying for master's degree, and it's going to be different from somebody applying for a PhD program. So we'll look into that as well for the documents needed. Admission requirements, very simple. Let's go through this. So what do you need to apply? It's the same as the documents as I was talking about. You'll always need two major documents that you have already worked on that. You have that already. Your academic transcript, very much important, very much required in the admission process. And then your certificates. Some universities may consider your certificate as part of the admission requirements. Some may not consider it, but you really need to get it down. So your academic transcript, your certificates. How do you need to obtain your transcript from your universities now? Assuming you are in level 400, you haven't completed, so you don't have your transcript. You also don't have your certificate from the university because you get it upon graduation. Before you even get out of the university, make sure you have requested for your official transcript. The certificate will be given to you upon graduation, but request for your official transcript before you get out of the university. And there's something I'm going to talk about as the third point. Before you get out of your university, even if you are in the final semester of your program, you need to establish a very good relationship with your professors, departmental professors. What I mean by departmental professors is if you are doing bachelor's in communication, if you are doing bachelor's in accounting or finance, if you are doing bachelor's in, let's say, anthropology or sociology, make sure you establish very good relationship with the professors teaching you the various courses in your program before you get out. Even if you are left with a final semester, make sure you do that kind of relationship establishment and connection with the professors, because the professors are highly needed when it comes to recommendation letters. That is why we need these professors. Standardized test score. Most universities in US and in Canada, and I'll go through some of them, do not require you to write any test score at all. SAT and ACT are for people looking to do bachelor's in the US. SAT and ACT are for people looking to do bachelor's. Now, GRE and GMAT basically required at the master's level or PhD level. And then IELTS or TOEFL is an English proficiency examination required either in Canada or in US. What I would say with this standardized test scores is basically you don't need any of this to get admission with scholarship in the United States or in Canada. You don't need any of these test scores. SAT, ACT, GRE, GMAT, IELTS, or TOEFL. You don't need any of these to get admission with scholarship in the US. But how do they help? Especially for bachelor's admissions. If you just completed high school and you are interested in doing bachelor's in US or in Canada, the SAT score helps a lot in getting very good funding in your admission letter. So once you apply and you have written the SAT examination and your score is really high, most of the universities may consider you for presidential scholarships. It depends on your GPA, but then your SAT scores also help a lot when it comes to presidential scholarships. And most of the presidential scholarships in many of these universities in the US or in Canada are really fully funded or full ride. So that is why a lot of people actually consider SAT or ACT for their bachelor's applications. GRE, GMAT. To me personally, I would think that I don't ever need GRE or GMAT for any admission at all, being it master's or PhD. I don't need it. Some people also think GRE or GMAT will be super helpful for the application. And when you go to some universities' website, they actually indicate that if your GPA is below 3.0, you will need to write GRE as part of their admission requirement. I have seen it at most universities' website when your GPA is below 3.0. Basically, I know somebody at East Tennessee State University who got fully funded scholarship to study masters in mathematical science. He had a GPA of 2.7, if I remember clearly, or it was below 3.0. Wrote the GRE, got a very high score for GRE, used it in the application for the masters in mathematical science, and got fully funded scholarship for that. That is a situation, a circumstance where GRE actually assisted somebody in getting admission with very good funding. So it might be great for someone as well. IELTS and TOEFL. Some people, one way or the other, have indicated on my platform that they apply to universities in Canada and the universities were requiring them to submit IELTS or TOEFL examination. In my opinion, that could happen to somebody, but to be sincere and to be fair with everyone, you don't need an IELTS or TOEFL to study in the US or in Canada. It's an English proficiency, but if you are coming from an English-speaking country like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, none of these universities require you to write IELTS. The reason why you will see them at their university's website and as part of their admission requirements is that you are coming from English-speaking country. It doesn't mean everybody is coming from English-speaking country. If you take Tanzania, for instance, a country in East Africa, their official language is basically Swahili and French. So they don't have English as their official language or native language. They may require them to submit IELTS or TOEFL. It doesn't mean it applies to you. So you need to take note of that. Letters of recommendation, very much important. In US or Canada, some universities, almost 99% of the universities will require you to submit 3 letters of recommendation. These recommendation letters are submitted directly by the professors or your recommenders, and it is done electronically. So once you are filling your application form with these universities, they require you to put the name of the professor or your recommender, their emails, their position, and their organization. Immediately you put this information in the application form and you save it. The university sends a link to the professor to do the recommendation on your behalf electronically. You will need 3 individuals to do this work for you. That is why it is always required and necessary to establish that good relationship with your professors before you get out of the university. If you are out, you can still establish that good relationship with these professors. If you are not out yet, it will be very good for you to start establishing this relationship with the professors. It will be very, very helpful. Statement of purpose or personal essays. In most universities' application, you'll be required to write personal essays in their application portal. Some of them, they require you to just write it in there, so they will provide a text box for you to provide the information in there. For some, you will need to write it in the form of a letter and upload it in their application portal. So, statement of purpose, if you are not aware of what this document is, we can also have another session concentrating only on statement of purpose. This is just like a motivational letter you need to include as to why you are applying to the program, as to why you chose the university, your educational background and professional experience, and why you think you are a best fit for that program. Resume, same as CV, as we know in Ghana. Resume just detailed about your professional experience and your educational experience, and sometimes may require you to have some research interest in there, depending on whatever level you are applying to. Taking much time on this, but it's worth it to explain each of them. Funding and scholarships, very important piece or very important stage or very important thing in the whole application process. So one thing I want to be clear with is when it comes to US or Canada applications, we do not apply for scholarships. I want to be clear on this. You do not apply for scholarship when you are looking at universities in Canada or universities in US. You basically don't apply for scholarship. The good news is whenever you apply to a university in US or in Canada, the application you are using for admission is also considered for scholarship. So if I'm applying to the University of Ottawa for PhD in economics, the university, together with the department I am applying to, will consider me for all scholarships available for international students. I don't need to apply. What are the exceptions to this situation of you don't need to apply for any scholarship? Once you apply for admission, your application is considered for scholarship as well. Now, exception is most universities may require you, and not all of them, may require you to get admission and later apply for graduate assistantship. It is another form of scholarship. We'll talk about it. Graduate assistantship. So a university may require you to get admission first. And once you get admission, you are in our system. We'll give you the opportunity to apply for a job in our university system. And that job is what we call graduate assistantship. Let's explain graduate assistantship in its simplest form. If you are in Ghana now, a lot of people graduate from their bachelor's degree and their department will select them for teaching assistantships. It happens a lot in all the public universities in Ghana. In US, it doesn't go that way. You don't just complete bachelor's and you are selected by your professors to work as a teaching assistant in the US. Most often, they hire individuals who are doing masters in the department to serve as teaching assistants or research assistants in the department. And that is why they are always interested in people coming for the master's program so that they will get them for their teaching assistantship positions. So it is the same thing like Ghana. However, in Ghana, you need to complete your bachelor's and work as a teaching assistant in the department. For US, once you are doing your master's or your PhD, you qualify to teach as an assistant in the department or to work as a research assistant in the department. That is a very great opportunity in the US, which actually give us tuition waiver and stipend as we do that work. So that is that for the scholarship part. So every university, for me, every university has a fully funded scholarship. Every university, almost 99%, when you apply for admission, your application packet is considered for scholarship. You don't need to apply. For few of them, you need to apply, get admission, and then you will need to apply for the graduate assistantships or the scholarships for some of them. Government scholarships, I don't emphasize on this, guys. I basically do not emphasize on this, guys. Government scholarships. So in US, there's this scholarship called Fulbright. Few people may get it. Few. It is not university administered. It's government, not necessarily even government. It is standard scholarship. So few people get that scholarship, and you will need to go through rigorous application process to be able to be considered for this type of scholarships. Vanier, Canada scholarship is graduate scholarship in Canada given to masters and PhD students. It is around 15,000 Canadian dollars, and is it 15,000? No, I think it's 50,000 every year for PhD or masters. Mostly it even goes to the PhD people in Canada. This is an external scholarship. The university has no control over that, and people also get that opportunity, just like Cheven scholarship at you get in UK. Most people apply and few people get selected for that. So I don't basically emphasize on these types of scholarships. Graduate assistantships and fellowships. So university funded scholarships that administered by the university. This third one, graduate assistantships and fellowships. Now, this is where we kind of come back and think about what are the types of scholarships a university give to its applicants. Most often, universities may have something called merit scholarship. Merit. It is based on your application packet. So we look at your GPA, we look at your resume, we look at your personal statement, and we rank all the students. And if you are part of those that we are being considered for the scholarship, you get a scholarship. You don't work for the university. It is merit based. So for instance, if you apply to University of Virginia for MBA and you are considered for admission and the University of Virginia gives you 90,000 scholarship as let's say 90% of your tuition, that is merit based. You don't work for the university at all. Graduate assistantships. As I said, I explained it clearly when I was talking about the university funded scholarship that a graduate assistantship is a form of work. Just as we do as TAs in Ghana, the US doesn't go by that system of you need to complete your bachelor's and you work as a TA in the department. They hire master students to do that work for them. And that is what we call graduate assistantship. In those scenarios, you will need to work for the department. And I'll share. I don't know. I think I should have checked this before, but I wanted to quickly share an example of graduate assistantship here if I will get that opportunity. Let me know if you see my screen. I don't know why my screen is not popping up for my full window. Do you see anything like a scholarship apart from the slides that I was showing in the PowerPoint? Do you see any scholarship, please? You can unmute and let me know if you do see it.
Yes.
You see a scholarship, like a scholarship letter?
A letter, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. So let's use the University of Ottawa, right? Doctorate in philosophy. I don't know why they call it doctorate, but doctorate, PhD in economics. If you see that, I'm going to explain some university scholarships to you quickly. So let's go to financial aid. So there's scholarship and financial support. This is coming from the university. If I need to work, I don't know, but I'll go through it quickly. So the University of Ottawa is proud to offer you the admission scholarship, financial support that consists of two components. The first component is a scholarship. A scholarship will be credited to your student account in installments of 3,000 per term. That is there. So the first component is a university scholarship. I don't need to do anything for that. It was 36,000 Canadian dollars. Now the second component may be in the form of a soft funding bursary, a teaching or a research assistantship. So this scholarship letter explains it clearly to you that the university may give you a scholarship that you don't need to work for them. That's the first component. And then the second component could be in the form of a teaching or research assistantship. And the total amount for this scholarship was 50,000 Canadian dollars. Apart from that, the University of Ottawa also gave me a scholarship in the form of doctoral international scholarship, which was 45,000. So in total, for my PhD in economics, the University of Ottawa considered me for almost 137,000 in scholarships. And this covered my full tuition and my living expenses, basically. So the first component is what I'm talking about. It's an international merit. You are just giving it to me in the form of scholarship, right? Like as they would say, but all of them are scholarships. And then the second component is for teaching or research work. And this is that. This is an example of graduate assistant. So I need to work as a teaching assistant or research assistant at my department to get this second component. Another form of scholarship. So I did become accounting and I did my master's in financial economics, but I got this scholarship from Ohio University again, and it is PhD in higher education. So this should let you understand that you don't necessarily need educational background. I don't know what I would even term educational background, but you don't need to have a bachelor's or a master's in education. People will say BEd accounting or BEd sociology or BEd social science, whatever it is. You don't need that to get into educational programs. So higher education, with your admission, we are offering you a graduate assistantship in the Department of Counseling and Higher Education to work with, that is the difference, with graduate assistantship. You will work with so and so, period. Graduate assistantship. This is a form of scholarship sometimes given to you by the university that you need to actually work for them. Let me give you another, I don't know if you see my screen for this. Case Western. Do you see this? Let me know if you do. At first I was thinking my screen is not popping up for that.
If you could increase the
Yes.
Okay. So this is, okay, you see it clearly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is another scholarship that I don't need to work for the university. Case Western University, Case Western Reserve University, and for Masters in Business Administration. And it was for 2025, just for 2025. You can see that here clearly, right? So MBA, and I'm looking for the scholarship. So this is the scholarship here, 99,660 scholarship here. And that is the full tuition of Case Western University for fall 2025, full tuition. So the whole 2 years program, you have been considered for the scholarship for the whole 2 years. And it covers the full tuition. You can go to the University, Case Western Reserve University's website to see their total cost of attendance when it comes to tuition. And you see this amount for 2 years there. So I was considered for that freely from the university, from the Case Western University as a merit scholarship. I don't need to work for them. There's not a graduate assistantship that I need to actually work for. All right. External funding organizations. There are a lot of external organizations that you may apply to for a scholarship. You don't have any control. The university has no control over that. And so sometimes it's difficult to come by those. So you may want to also consider them as part of your scholarship considerations, but not easy getting those. Tips for writing strong scholarship applications. Most often, you don't need application for the school funded or university funded scholarships. You may need to write applications or do an application for external scholarships or government scholarships. And we can also help you with that, with people who have gone through that process and help you to secure external scholarships. All right. Quickly, visa and immigration procedures. So today I wanted to cover everything as quick. In Canada, you don't actually apply for visa. And I've said this in one of my short videos. In Canada, to be fair, you don't apply for a visa in Canada when you get admission. The only thing you apply for is called study permit. And even that study permit, you don't get it in your hand before you go to Canada. Once the study permit application is approved by the Canadian consulate in your home country, they will ask you to submit your passport. And at that point, they will stamp your passport with your study permit. What do you call it? In your passport with your visa, your student visa. I was trying to look for my passport. I don't see it. Most likely close to me. Well, so I was trying to look for my passport. I could show you Canadian study permit, Canadian student visa. So you don't need to apply for a visa. You apply for just a study permit to Canada. You don't attend interview when you apply for your study permit. Once you apply, if you apply today for a study permit, just today or the next day, they will send you an email or a letter that will allow you to book a biometric appointment if you haven't taken biometric ever with the Canadian government. They will just the next day, they will send you a letter that helps you to book an appointment, biometric appointment. Now, once you go for your biometric appointment, you don't do anything again in your study permit application. You just come home, sit quietly, wait for the Canadian consulate to give an update on your application. The next update that may come on your application will be that they have, gotten your biometrics, and your biometrics is valid from this year to that year. So it could be 10 years. Most often it is 10 years. You get that update. Now, the next update that may come, if your visa will be approved, is come and have your medicals. So they will send you another update with a letter indicating that you go for medicals with the Canadian government's recommended doctor, let's put it that way, or medical facility. So you go there, you have your medical. Most often, when you get that letter from them, it is 99.99 that your study permit is approved. Because you will never get that letter. Most often, and I'm not saying there's exception, in most scenarios or circumstances, you will not even be called for your medicals when your visa will be denied. Most scenarios. I've also seen people going for medicals and getting their study permit denied, but it doesn't happen most often. Mostly when you get your letter for medicals, your visa is most likely to be approved, which is a study permit anyways. In US, we all know, and most of the people on this call understand the US immigration process. Whenever you get admission, there are two major documents you need to fill. You need to fill your DS-160. It's an application form, and you also need to pay an LMAV at GT Bank or online. Somebody in the US can do that work for you, and you'll be able to schedule an appointment with the US Embassy wherever you want. As long as it is outside the US, you are good to schedule your appointment anywhere. Remember that if you want to do your appointment, let's say in Cote d'Ivoire, your DS-160 must be filled for Cote d'Ivoire, and your appointment portal should be created for Cote d'Ivoire. If you want to do it in Tanzania, everything should be done for that country. If you want to do it in South Africa, you do it the same way as that. If you are currently having your portal and everything in Ghana, but you're not getting a date and you want to switch to South Africa, you will need to pay a new visa fee for South Africa before you can book an appointment with them. Maintaining your legal status while studying in the US, always, your visa is a ticket to travel. It's just like you going to Cape Coast bus station, buy a ticket to go to Kumasi. Immediately, you land at the bus station, your visa doesn't have any meaningful impact on your life again. What we are trying to say is that the moment you take off from Kotoka through, or wherever you are coming from, through to the port of entry, it could be the Kennedy International Airport. It could be the Columbus International Airport. Any international airport you land, the moment you land, the visa doesn't do anything again. What you are going to survive on to have a legal status in the US will be your I-20. Very important document. So maintaining your legal status is making sure you are maintaining your I-20 and your F1 status. Visa is out of the game. But anytime you want to travel outside the US again, your visa will be required. Work opportunities for students. And this is brief. We are going to just take a minute to walk through that. If you want to work in the US, the opportunities are many, I would say. The opportunities in the US are many. Because I'm looking at 50 states and 4 territories. 50 states, 4 territories, I guess. Yeah. 50 states, 4 territories. So 54 states. This is like 2 whole countries, or 3 or 4 or 5. And you can work anywhere, no matter the state you land. So if you come to Ohio to study, let's say you are studying at Ohio University, immediately after school, you can go to Washington, D.C. and work. Nobody cares about you. You can go to Georgia. You can go to Oklahoma. You can go to Alabama. Anywhere you want to study, you have the opportunity. When you complete your program and graduate, everybody is given 1 year work authorization to work in the US. And if you did a STEM program, you are given additional 2 years to work in the US. And you can do any work and work for any company. As long as the company is going to hire you and you are well positioned for that role, you are not going to be sacked or fired. Once you start working, you will work for the entire 3 years. The companies also have the opportunity to file something called H-1B, which is a temporary working visa for you. And when you get it, your first 3 years, you are valid to work on H-1B. Once the first 3 years expire, you will get additional 3 years renewal. So in that scenario in US, if you get the opportunity to get an H-1B, and let's say you got it in your last year of your 3 years of STEM OPT, then you will get additional 6 years. By that time, you have worked for almost 9 years in the US without being a permanent resident of the United States. Great opportunity to work. In Canada, when you graduate from a program which is 8 months and above, when you graduate from a program which is 8 months and above, master's, PhD, bachelor's, you'll be given the opportunity to work 3 years. And the document given to you is known as postgraduate work permit in Canada. Once you get your postgraduate work permit to work in Canada for just a year, you have the opportunity to apply for a permanent residency in Canada under something called express entry. And express entry has so many classes. It has the Canadian experience class. It has the foreign skill class. So you can apply to any of them. And people who are in Canada studied in their Canadian universities, got postgraduate work permit, work for 1 year, usually use the Canadian experience class under the express entry to get their permanent residency. And when you are 3 to 5 years in Canada on a permanent resident, you can apply for a Canadian citizen. Good opportunities when it comes to work opportunity for international students, both in US and in Canada. When it comes to immigration purposes, the Canadian one is highly flexible, easy, friendly to go through as compared to the US anyways. Mistakes you need to avoid. I said there's something called early action or early decision. People are not aware of that. And whenever you go to a university website, check if they have early action or early decision. That is the first deadline in all the applications. And once you apply in that bucket, your application is a higher priority to the university and the admission committee. So check deadlines. Do not miss deadlines. It is very, very important. Whenever you submit application, you need to make sure your application is complete. Complete application includes uploading all the documents that are required, doing all the interviews that are required. Some MBA programs require you to do an interview in the application process before you even get your application reviewed. You need to make sure you have completed all of those. The most important thing that is a mistake is people get their application, everything completed, application fees paid, and have 2 of the recommendation letters submitted, leaving just 1. And that professor is not doing it over a month, over 2 months, and the application is sitting in the portal for nothing. It is a common mistake that you would want to avoid. You paid an application fee of 100 Canadian dollars, 120 Canadian dollars, just because of one professor, the application is sitting down. How do you avoid that? Always make sure you have backups for your professors. So you need 3 letters of recommendation. Make sure you have 4 or 5 professors. The first 3 professors are your, I don't know, I wanted to say something from football perspective. Your first 11 that will be on the ground when the ball starts, right? The other 2 are your bench individuals. Immediately one is delaying, you remove the person quickly and you replace that person. And it is done in any school application. Let's say I use my professor ABC. My professor is delaying me. I think I need to get the application complete so that it will be reviewed. I just need to put that professor aside, delete him completely from the system or remove him and add a new professor to the application to make sure the application is complete. Ignoring scholarship opportunities, any scholarship opportunity at all you see on the application portal, make sure you select it. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify, but select it. Even if it is for domestic, select it. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify. Nobody will give it to you. But as long as you select all the scholarship opportunities on the application portal or in the application, you'll be considered for all of them that you qualify for. Failing to maintain required GPA after admission. Common mistake. You get here, the university says you need to maintain a GPA of 3.0, and due to one or two things, you are not attending classes, you are not doing the assignments, you are not doing the quizzes, and you fall below the GPA. Why am I talking about it now? When you fall below the GPA, the scholarship that was given to you during your admission decision may be taken from you, and you need to struggle and pay that tuition in the university. So you may want to avoid that. Another thing that I didn't capture here is whenever you are applying, make sure that your native language is English. Select it. This is a mistake I did personally. It costed me a lot with Ohio University. But at the end of the day, I applied to almost 3, 4 entries at Ohio University. I applied for fall 2021. I made a mistake. I applied for spring 2022. The mistakes were affecting me. And then I applied for fall 2021 again. The same time being, I'm trying to move around it to get it removed. And it was back and forth, back and forth. I needed to write a very tall email to graduate school, to my program director, trying to coordinate these individuals. And then I got it resolved. I applied again for spring 2022 and my program director, because he knew me in communications, he gave me admission for fall 2021, even though I applied for spring 2020, because he knew my first application. So communication is also very important when it comes to this whole application. Reach out to that program director, reach out to that program coordinator, reach out to that grad school within your university, and make sure they understand what is going on. And at the end of the day, you should have your application in there to the program director for review. Q&A. But before we do that, I'm just going to make sure you see my screen again, because I'm going to move from this Google Meet. So let me know if you see my screen. If you don't see it, you can let me be aware. So you see University of Toronto PhD programs on Google. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. I want to do a very quick demo for all of us. So assuming that I want to apply to the University of Toronto for PhD programs, I don't know anything. I don't have any link. I don't know anybody. So I just go to Google on my laptop or on my phone and I want to apply to the University of Toronto for PhD program. I don't know which PhD program I'm going to apply for. So I go to Google and type University of Toronto PhD programs, period. As simple as that. Then I don't know what to do. I don't know where to click. I'm not applying for bachelor's, master's, or PhD. So I click on this graduate. It's not undergrad, graduate. Then even on Google, I see management PhD. I don't know what I'm looking for. I see psychology, I see computer science. What do I do? Then I can scroll down. I see graduate programs. I see professional graduate programs. I don't know which one to touch as a link. So then maybe I want to touch the first one. So go to School of Graduate Studies. I click on that quickly. Then when I come here, I go down, types of programs. So I just go down a bit. Then I'm seeing programs. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything at all. So I'm seeing programs. I see accounting and finance. And then the degree type is shown here. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Yeah, degree type is shown there. So you see Mark Finn, Mark. So Mark M in front of it means masters, accounting and finance. And then MA says masters, MED, master of education. Then you see PhD there. So that tells you that this program is having masters, MA, it is having master's education, and it's also having PhD. And then I'm going through, I see applied computing, I see anthropology. Then I check the program type. This program, which is anthropology, is having MA, MSc, and PhD. Then I'm going through all the way down there. I don't know. I'm always interested in economics. So I'm going for economics. I'm going to check whether economics is having that program type that I'm looking for. So economics right here, it has MA and PhD. Then English has MA, PhD. So I'm interested in any of this. Let me go to economics. This is how you navigate on a program, a university's website. So you go in there. This is economics. Okay. I don't know if I should. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I'm here, economics. I don't know what is going to happen if I can't do this. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
you can see.
Right,
Yes.
right. So PhD, application deadline, domestic, international, clearly here. So I didn't do anything. I didn't take any link from anybody. All I did was to search for the university and then be specific, PhD programs. However, it is not even taking me to PhD programs only. It tells me the programs, whether it has masters and it has PhD. It is clear. So I go there. There's domestic. Domestic simply means people who are Canadians. So they are either citizens or permanent residents. That is for domestic. I don't need to look at that. I'm an international student because I'm coming out. So I look at international. Then there's MA, PhD there. For 2025 entry, deadline is 17 January 2025. You see this 2025 there because we are still going to start 2025 fall. And so most universities haven't opened their portal for 2026. That's why you see this information. But that should even tell you that the 2026 application cycle will have a deadline of 17 January 2026. So you start preparing yourself for that. At minimum admission average requirement, MA. So if you are domestic and you want to apply for MA, which is masters, you need mid B. B is like 3.0 everywhere. B is 3.0. So if you want to apply for masters, you need 3.0 for the master's program. The same thing if you are international. If you need PhD, B plus. B plus is not A, so it is still not first class. It's still 3.0 and above. So it could be 3.2, it could be 3.3, as early as that. So that is it. It's still B, it is not A, so it's not 3.6. You are still an upper guy. You are good to go in PhD programs. Now there's something clearly here. Direct entry PhD. Direct entry PhD. Domestic and international, everybody has that. What that simply means is you don't need masters to get PhD in economics at the University of Toronto. All you need is bachelor's degree. But remember, this is A-. So you need a very higher GPA in your bachelor's, like 3.6, 3.7. And you can apply to PhD direct without needing a master's degree at all. This is one. Okay, so you don't need master's degree to apply for a PhD in the University of Toronto. Very simple and easy. Just go in there, apply. If you have BA in economics and mathematics from the University of Cape Coast or Tech or Legon, you qualify for PhD straight away at the University of Toronto. The direct entry option from bachelor's, that is what it means. I have already explained that. Yes for PhD. A supervisor identified before or after admission. Do I need to identify a professor before I apply? No. You just need a supervisor after you have gotten admission. So you don't need to worry about that in the application process at all. If a supervisor is identified after admission, as per question above, is admission conditional upon securing a supervisor? No, you don't need any to get admission. Very simple as that. Now here, what do I need to do again? Admission requirement is clear. All I need is a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and I don't even need a master's for the PhD. Very clear. And it says for both domestic and international. I am very much interested in funding. So all the time I don't go to university's website without looking at funding. So here, awards and funding. You click on that quickly. Browse Award Explorer. I will not go for that. Financial aid is here. This is scholarship. This is financial aid. It's also scholarship. Funding for professional programs. Funding for research stream programs. If you are going for PhD, basically you are research stream. So you look at that. But it's even clearly laid out here. If you are going for master's degree, you have the CGX Masters. You can click on it. Look at what it is. You have the Ontario Graduate Scholarship, OGS. You have the SGS, Conference Grant, and all of that. So, but all that I'm trying to say is you also need to make sure you look at all the scholarships, opportunities before you apply. Make sure you look at the scholarships they have. Doctoral, you have to do that. One quick thing in a minute. I went to Google again. I didn't do anything. I don't need this school. So I went to Google quickly and I said, Masters in Accounting with Graduate Assistantship in the US, period. Masters in Accounting with Graduate Assistantship in the US. I typed that simply on Google, right? And when I did type that, one second, somebody wants to join. Okay. Yeah, when I typed that on Google, Masters in Accounting, that's what I had. So I need to go down there and see all these universities and what they have. But I know about Southern Illinois University having scholarship, not ADUSville, Carbondale. So I know about them already. So I can click on this school quickly. And this is Carbondale. So ADUSville has two campuses. So I scroll down to see what they have as assistantship for this university. I need to know the application requirements. I need to know the deadline. And also, I need to know what they have in scholarship. So yes, they have graduate school assistantship. Here, you click on that. You don't have permission to access this document, meaning it's not available there. But that should just tell you this university is having that assistantship. Sometimes you can go back and click it again and say assistantship in Master of Accountancy at Southern Illinois University at Carbondale. And you are easy to see that. A lot of universities will pop up for you when you do this simple search that I did here. And it helps you to see all the universities having graduate assistantship in accounting. So you see Northern Iowa here, you see Missouri State, you see Virginia Tech, all of them are there. Quickly, Masters in Communication with graduate assistantship in the US. Yeah. So we are just going to take it from there and give you the chance to ask all your questions, and we should be good to go. Yeah, I see you. How is it going in Southern Illinois? What do you call it? South Dakota, I guess. Okay, right, guys. So I'm going to continue share my screen, and we should be very fine with that, and give you the opportunity to ask all the questions you have. We are good to go for today's session. I'll continue to do this. Tell me if you see my screen. Masters in Accounting with graduate assistantship in the US.
You can see it.
Okay. So what I was saying is you don't need any link at all when you go to Google. Always, and you don't need me to do that work for you. So a lot of people do that on the pages by saying, hey, can you help me with these universities, or can you help me with programs that I'll get good funding? Can you help me with universities in US that I'll get good funding? Can you help me with schools in Canada? The work is very simple on Google. Just go to Google and call Google. I want schools in Canada with graduate assistantship in accountancy, in communication. But I think Google is not going to even do a good job. So look at ChatGPT. So these AI tools are very useful for me in searching these universities, and I get a lot of universities when I use them. So yes, go on Google. Just type something very simple: Masters in Communication with graduate assistantship in the USA. You go down here and you will see a lot of universities: Missouri State Communication, South Alabama, Louisiana, Colorado. There are lots of universities. Illinois State. I know Illinois is having fully funded for communication. There's one university I know personally that Google is not giving me here, and ChatGPT and AI might not also give it. University of Maine, it is having fully funded scholarship that I'm not seeing here, and that is why I think some people may also ask you that question of, hey, can you help me with some universities? But do the preliminary research yourself. You get a lot of universities in there, and once you get those universities, you can also ask people for more. But Google is the best place to get a lot of these universities together with AI, ChatGPT, and others. Let me go to Emory University. There's something great there. If you have a bachelor degree in economics and you are looking for a PhD with no master's requirement, and you saw that with the University of Toronto in Canada. And so I want to give you one university in the US just to iterate the point that, hey, you can get a fully funded PhD in the US with no master's degree. And one typical example is Emory University, one top university in Atlanta, Georgia. And this university is giving fully funded in PhD in economics with no master's. So go to apply to the PhD program. Application for fall 2026 open in September 2025. That's why I said this is the right time to do this training, just to assist people for fall 2026, because a lot of schools open their application in September. So deadline, application submission starts September 1st and it is through to January 1st, 2026. Deadline is January 1st. A decision by the department is given starting from January, February, March, and early April. And the deadline to accept your admission to the PhD program is April 15th. Very simple. Let's look at the admission requirement. You always need to look at that. And financial support. These are the two things you always need to look at when you go to admissions university's website regarding your application. So the first thing is, I want to see whether I meet the requirement first before I apply. A statement of purpose, it is clearly there. Verbal, quantitative, analytical scores on the GRE. And it says GRE is optional. I love to see this all the time from a university's website. GRE is optional. You don't need it if you want. TOEFL IELTS score for non-native English speakers. You are native. Keep this in mind. You are a native English speaker. That's what I want you to keep in mind all the time. So if you are applying, always when you are asked your native language, make sure you are selecting English as your native language. Then next, academic record. So we require copies of all transcripts. However, the transcript can be unofficial. What is unofficial transcript? The unofficial transcript is not the transcript sitting in your portal with unofficial on top of it as a copy. When a student take transcript from the university by themselves and use it for application, we call it unofficial transcript. Once you get admission and you get to the US here, let me emphasize that. Most universities, you will need to get to US before you bring them the official transcript so that they will make copies of it. Some universities, few of them, may also require you after admission to submit official transcript from your university. When it happens like that, you just need to go to your university portal and then send the transcript in your portal to the university requiring for it. It's not something difficult. And I think UCC has done it. I don't know of Tech and Legon, but I think your university portal is very simple to do that work by sending it to them. 3 to 4 letters of recommendation. Previous training in economics. So you should have some training in economics. So if you did accounting and you did some courses in economics, you qualify for that. Previous training in mathematics and statistics. So you did some quantitative methods, some statistics you still qualify. And if available, that simply means you are not required. Evidence of scholarly research or publications, you are not required. Master's degree is not required for entering the PhD program. Master's degree is not required. All you need is bachelor's. Very good GPA. Come here, do a PhD. Instead of wasting time on master's for 2 years, come and do the PhD. By 4 years' time, you are good to go. GR is in front of your name, or PhD is after your name. Good to go. Finally, I wanted to look at something quickly, and I give in for Q&A quickly. Okay, I think I'm good on this department thing. So quickly, let me come back to my PowerPoint where I am due for Q&A. Ask me anything regarding this, but this is what I wanted to help you with. I can't do everything of reviewing resumes and personal statements for today, but this is the first time I'm doing an actual training for people regarding the admission process. So there'll be more to come regarding some small portion or some parts of the application packet, but I needed you to understand this. Any questions? Feel free. For this one, you will need to maybe raise your hand, and then I'll call you so that we don't interrupt everything, you know. One second. I know people are raising their hands. I'm going to stop sharing just to concentrate on the power. What do you call it? On the 1 second. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, good, great. We are here. Ask me anything. Let's go. I'm Ponsa Eric. I didn't see whoever raised their hands first, but I'll go. I'm Ponsa Eric, and I'll go in that order. Eric, unmute yourself. Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah, much grateful. To go to my question, some schools require with the requirement. Some schools require written sample.
So Eric, writing sample, depending on whichever university you are.
I can't hear you.
I'm so sorry, everybody. So what I was saying is, depending on the university you are applying to, right? I remember I wrote a sample, a writing sample for my application to the University of Kentucky Masters in Public Administration. Mostly, they may tell you what you are required to have in terms of number of pages, and it could be anything. It could be your undergraduate bachelor's project work if you did it all alone. I don't want to say certain things here, but I've seen people removing everybody on that project work from the undergraduate project and submitting those as their own work in their admission process. But mostly, if you did your undergraduate project work alone, you can submit that as the writing sample. If you don't have that as an individual writing sample, then you can quickly write a very good writing sample for yourself for the purpose of your admission, right? It could be any topic, it could be anything. So currently I write on LinkedIn regarding exchange rates and macroeconomic issues, right? That is a writing, but then it doesn't cover a lot of aspects of what is required in a writing sample. So I can pick one of my topics that I usually love and then do a write-up. It could be an article, a full article, and then use it as a writing sample. But the easiest one is your undergraduate project work. If you are done with your master's and you're applying for PhD, your master's thesis could be another writing sample to be used. And some universities will give you the requirement in terms of the number of pages and what they want to see in the writing sample. Does that answer your question?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Okay. Richard, Heji.
Yeah, so thank you very much. My question was that I think when you were talking, you made emphasis on the recommendation letter. You said that you were talking about professors. Is it necessarily professor or a lecturer?
Right. So I think
not all the lecturers are professors.
Yes, sir. That is really true. In all my submissions, if you join any of my meetings and I'm talking about a professor, I'm just talking about anybody who teaches at the university level. The person doesn't need to have professor as a title. It's just anybody teaching at a university. That person is a professor. That is all. So anybody who taught you during your undergraduate studies in any of your courses, that person can do the recommendation. One good thing is if you are applying for an MBA, you don't even need a professor. It's an exception. If you're applying for an MBA, most of the MBA programs are interested in your supervisor at work. So assuming you work for, let's say, a particular company, your supervisor, your immediate supervisor, or anybody you know in the company can do that recommendation letter for you. You don't need a professor in that case.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Quinsta Latte.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Please, my question has to do with
I think we are having network issue with you, Quinsta, but we are here. Anytime you come back, we'll be willing to pick you up again. Any other questions, feel free. When Quinsta comes, I'll give her the opportunity. Feel free if you have any other question. You raise your hand, I'll call you. Isaiah, let's go, sir.
new, like all new to me, and I'm with application. And I think are there some universities that
Hello,
they
hello,
put
mom.
that-
Quinsta, we lost you because of your network. So if you can take everything again for us, it would be helpful. Okay, Quinsta is still cutting out. Let's go to Isaiah. We'll come back to Quinsta when she is available on the network. Mom,
Good evening.
Quinsta, we didn't. Isaiah, give me a minute to kind of address Quinsta, and we'll come back. Quinsta, we didn't get your question. To be fair, the network was not good, so there were a lot of network interruptions, and we didn't catch everything. If you can give us the question again, it would be helpful. Okay.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Quinsta.
Okay. So I was saying that I want to have or go into a career. Okay. A career shift into project management. I already have my degree in banking and finance and master's in accounting and finance, and currently I'm chartering as a chartered accountant. But I want to go into project management. I spoke to one or two people and they were like, my GPA from the bachelor's degree is low and I don't stand any chance. Initially, I was having difficulties with application since this whole study abroad is new to me. But based on your presentation, I think I'm okay now. So I just wanted to find out if it's possible to get full funded scholarship for the project management in the US.
Okay, Mom. I think that is a very good question, and we need to look at it from so many perspectives. The first perspective I'll look at from is you don't need to restrict to a particular program, and your ultimate purpose should be set when you are looking at study abroad. So some people just want to travel to, let's say, Canada or US from Africa, right? That is their main purpose. Whatever brings them, they don't care about it. You need to know the purpose. So if your purpose is basically project management, it may restrict you in getting the scholarships you need to study abroad. So you may want to expand your program or your course considerations first to be able to get that scholarship you are looking for. And once you get to US or Canada, you can apply to any university at all for project management. And one thing I would say, then the reason why I'm saying you should broaden your course concentrations or selections is some programs, as professional as they are, for instance, accounting, finance, MBA, they have the scholarships, but it's difficult getting them. Let me put it that way. I showed you Case Western MBA fully funded for tuition. I have Washington, very good scholarship. Emory, very good scholarship. But the cost or the deficit that will be remaining will be very sufficient as well in some cases if your GPA is not really, really strong. So, Mom, I want you to expand the program selections to get that opportunity to come to the US. And once you are here, you can get into project management. To be fair, I think it may be difficult for you to get fully funded scholarship in project management specifically. But you can get something that will bring you to the US. And once you are here, it is easy to access those scholarships that you might not get outside the US or Canada. That would be my first recommendation. But there could be a lot of universities that could have sufficient scholarship for you for that area. But broaden that scope of selections. It will be helpful. And as I use the search in there, when you go to Google and type Masters in Project Management with scholarship or graduate assistantship in the US, you should see a lot of schools pop up for you to kind of go through, and that will be helpful to you as well. But broaden that scope of selections. I hope that helps. Isaiah, let me give you the chance.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ma.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, I want to ask on the PhD from degree. Getting a PhD program to do from degree, and the question is it the fact that if you have a master's, they will not attend to it, or if you have a master's, you are not qualified? I want to get something clear there. Is it the fact that it's not necessary you have the master's? So even if you have the master's, there's no need for you to even indicate that you have the master's. Or you can indicate, but it is not a requirement for them to give you the admission.
Okay.
That's one. Then the other one is still on that one. What happens to, I want to know a little about these vertical and horizontal kind of programs that, in Ghana here, mostly they tell you that all your programs should be vertical. Like that, you do the undergrad, maybe must do the program at undergrad, you do the same program at masters, and maybe do that program at a PhD. But in the US, do they have anything like that? Or from my undergrad, let's say I do accounting, I can come and do communication, and that wouldn't have any negative impact on either my admission or my funding. That's the second leg of my question. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I will tackle your question from the first one, and then we'll come to the second one. Okay, fine. Let me tackle the second one first, and then I'll go to the first one. So with regards to vertical, horizontal, changing program path or whatever, the simplest answer is you can change to any program you want to do. But it should be a bit related, or the program that you are going into should be neutral when it comes to background. For instance, if I did accounting in my bachelor's, I don't think I can go and do PhD in biological science. I don't think they will admit me. I also don't think they would admit me for PhD in biomedical or biochemistry. They wouldn't do that because that's very far. And that program doesn't have neutral admission requirement in terms of your background. But a lot of programs are having this neutral background requirement. For instance, I did my bachelor's in accounting from the University of Cape Coast. I came to Ohio University to read my master's in financial economics. But currently, I have a PhD in higher education, which is fully funded at Ohio University. Higher education has nothing to do with economics or accounting, but I got it. And I know a lot of people who got fully funded scholarship to masters in communication from Ghana. Masters in communication, fully funded. The reason is masters in communication is having a lot of funding almost in every university. So when people look at it and feel like, oh, I'm not going to get masters in accounting with fully funded scholarship, then I want to switch into communication, they just switch to that side, get their fully funded scholarship, come in. And once they are done, they can do anything they want to do in the US. So it is very easy to switch to a lot of other programs like higher education, like communication, like any other program that is related to your field. So if I did accounting, I can do economics because I did some economics courses in my undergraduate program. I can also go into, let's say, statistics. Maybe I did some statistics in my undergraduate program. So it is easy to go into any of these guys when you look at the admission requirements and it is neutral. Now, direct PhD issue. So when it comes to direct PhD, if you have a master's degree and it is not required, what they mean is if you hold masters, okay, you can add it, but it's not a requirement to make an admission decision for the PhD admission, right? So when you look at what I showed from the University of Toronto's website regarding PhD in economics, they said the the requirement is MA. So MA is required actually, but they also admit people without MA. So masters is needed but not required. So if you hold bachelor's and you want to apply and you think we won't admit you because you don't have masters, we want you to understand we admit people without a master's degree. But if you hold masters too, it is fine. That is the simplest thing I can say. So masters is not required. If you put it in there, it may be helpful, but it's not required. As simple as that. Upon Eric.
Mr. Ima,
Yes, sir.
my second question is: currently, I'm applying for a program at Michigan Tech. That's Masters of Geographic Information Science,
Mm-hmm.
and the requirement is I think I should submit 2 recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my recommenders have already submitted the recommendation.
Okay.
It's left with the other one. And the person is delaying me. I've always taken up for him, but he said he will do it. And those that I have that they can submit it for me. Currently, I'm not able to contact them. So with this, how should I go about it?
Right. I think in my submission, I indicated that you always need to. I was using football as an example. So you have your first 11 on the grounds when we are going to start a game, right? And then we have bench guys. So in applying to universities in the US or Canada, always have your top 3 recommenders as your first selections for the application letter and have additional ones because some of these 3 guys may fail you. If any fails, just bring somebody into it. So you can just delete the one who is basically not doing it at this point, and then replace that person with a new recommender. Just look for somebody who is very willing and ready to do it for you, and add that person in, delete the other one, and it should be fine.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? Feel free, bring them in. So this is a training session. And I am going to do more of this regarding all the application parts, resume, recommendations, personal statement. I think at my next training session, I may share my recommendation, my personal statement that I've been using to get fully funded scholarship from top universities. And I would entreat you to join that one as well. Any other question, feel free. Feel free. Any other question is welcome. So as I indicated, I showed you University of Toronto not requiring a master's for that. I showed you how to kind of search for a university easily from Google for whatever program you are actually looking for. Ben, go ahead, sir.
No, thank you, Ajay. Do most of the universities consider the age limit for a master's program?
In US or in Canada, I don't see requirement.
US or in Canada,
there's no age limit when it comes to US and Canada. And this training session is basically for US and Canada. There's no age limit when it comes to master's and PhD. I know if you go outside US and Canada, for some Asia countries, you may be required to meet an age limit, but for Canada and US, it's not like that. Okay.
I've been trying to.
Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, I think this one, I have the interest, but how to really start the whole process.
Yeah, so Ben, I actually saw you. I admit everybody to the section. So I saw you when you were coming in. You came so late, but we have covered a lot that I think is very helpful to people who have no idea of how to apply to a university. A tip I will share with you is that If you want to apply to a university and you have no idea, just open your web browser to any of the web browsers you have. Go to Google and type, I need masters in communication, in mathematics at a university in US, and I want a fully funded scholarship or graduate assistantship. Just type that on Google, search it, see whatever comes out, and go through the links you will have as a pop-up, and that will help you to understand some few things. But I mean, we'll be doing a lot of training sessions just to assist applicants for fall 2026. And for 2026, deadlines are mostly in January of 2026, February of 2026, and March of 2026. So we have, I would say, more time and some months before us to go through this whole study abroad for fall 2026. Keep on joining; it will be helpful.
Okay. Finally, I want to use this opportunity to thank you and one other friend of mine, my roommate, who is now in US, Musa Yaya, is also on the call. I want to thank you guys. I think you are also my mate back at the university, back in UCC. We're all in Oguapo, like that. I wish you guys the very best.
Thank you,
it's
sir.
a good job you are doing.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you all.
Appreciate that. I have a question in the chat box. I want to look at it quickly, and I'll come back to other questions that we have. So, is it possible for someone to come to the US with a program and changes the program or the school once he gets to the US? Very simple and easy, and I've seen it multiple times. I've assisted people multiple times to do this. Let me give a typical example. I know a guy I actually took from the airport. Okay, fine. Somebody connected him to me to pick from the airport. So I picked him from the airport. He was coming to do a program at Case Western University. The funding was not that much, but the funding was good to get him the visa. So he got in and he needed to change. Now, what he did was the person who connected him to me to pick him up assisted him to get admission at a community college, to be fair, Hawking College. Hawking College is close to Ohio University. And when he got the admission to that college, it is very affordable. You pay just, even with no funding, you pay maybe $5,000 a semester or $4,000. Very affordable. He went there to do his first semester in the US with the Hawking College and also apply to admission for the next entry, right? So he came in for, he couldn't attend. So he needed to go to Hawking College, a college for a semester, then applied to another university for the next entry and got a very good funding, transferred from the university college to that. So immediately you get to the US, you can easily change the school. You can change everything. Everything. And that's why I was telling our mom, Quinsta, that you don't need to restrict yourself to, what do you call it? Project management. Get in with something that would assist you to get that visa you need, get to the US, and you can do anything you want to do in terms of changing the program or any other thing. It is very easy and simple. And that is very easy when you get into the US, right? Okay. I hope that helps, Samuel. Great.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Let's go to Patrick. Your hand is up.
Yeah, I think was it Pronsa was asking about the age limit. Ben was asking about the age limits. And I want to say I know of a friend who is 29 years old, applied for bachelor's and got admission. Now he's in the US. So 29 years. So just imagine. So age isn't a limit at the US. Though I think it's a stereotype that people are saying that when you're at this age you can't enroll in this. So there's nothing like age limits in regards to study, especially US. Now that I have a personal experience, I would say no to that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yaya, if you have anything, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to take this opportunity to thank Nanaji for his wonderful work that he has been doing for the people of Ghana and maybe beyond. I don't know. Maybe there may be some people from other countries that might have joined the page, which I do not know. But I want to thank Nanaji for what he has done for us, some of us here. Last year, like this time, I was in Ghana trying to polish my confidence and ability to communicate towards my interview preparation, and I really appreciate that. As I speak now, I'm also in the University of South Dakota State. I'm done with my first year and then done with my comprehensive exams, and actually went through everything successfully, and then hopefully thinking about PhD in advance, and then also to encourage those who are on the platform to always join the meeting, at least try and make time to also learn. Sometimes you might think you have the skills to read. It's not just about reading. You might know some things, but you need some experience. I have a colleague here who always says that you have to follow who knows the road. Because you might be intelligent, you might be a first class student, but when it comes to study abroad journey, you need a little bit of experience, and then you are good to go. And then, and concerning the age, I think I have a colleague teacher here. We do the same program, and it's 48 years. So imagine. So if you are 32 years and you think you are old, how about somebody who left Ghana at age 47 and now 48? Which means that there is always hope for everybody who wants to make it. And then, based on the program, I think this guy came and he wanted to do pure mathematics, and realized that he did mass education and it was going to be some kind of challenge. So he decided to switch to statistics, and now he's feeling comfortable in that regard. So I think that is what I have for you this evening. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Yaya. That is super helpful. So Yaya was a mate back in UCC, and yeah, it was good knowing Yaya at the Oguaho as well. And today he's here. I remember when he reached out a couple of times, and we talked about a couple of things. And today, reading his program, very nice in the US. All right. I am going to end the training session at this point. But thank you everybody for joining me for the first session ever that I wanted to do to take you through some preliminary things you need to know in the study abroad journey process. And I am super grateful that you joined. I'm happy to help all the time. But if you are not here too, I won't be speaking to anybody as well. So thank you so much for joining. Other than that, my YouTube channel is a very good source platform where you can also get some things to learn about the journey, right? And how to fill application form. I have a full video, almost 36 minute video on that, how to fill an application form. And I used Ohio University to fill the form. You may not have everything similar to your university, but you would have a lot of things in there that will help you to know. And then there are a couple of videos also there that would, assist you with some universities that you can apply. This video is also going to be on my YouTube channel. You can look at it or revisit it, share it to somebody. If you didn't join early, you can watch the video to just know what you need to do from the beginning. This session is basically for US and Canada. I'm looking at universities in UK, Asia all together as one. So it will be diaspora to US and Canada, but for today's session, it's more of North America. All right. I still want to say thank you again for joining. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Watch the videos there. It helps you to just have a better understanding of what the study abroad journey is all about. Always remember to read admission requirements before you put in the application. Remember, you have checked the application fee you need to pay. Sometimes people fill applications, they don't know the application fee. By the time they have wasted all the time to fill it, they get to the end and they see the application fee to be $90. And they say, how do I pay? Get to know that before you fill the form. Know if the university is giving any form of scholarship before you fill the form, whether it is international merit, it is graduate assistantship, or any sort of fellowship. Know all of this before you put in the application. Thank you, and I really appreciate you for joining.